Good morning, traders. Welcome to this week's ELLIOTTWAVE Forex and Cryptocurrency Market Analysis webinar. I hope you all had a great week. We're starting to pick up momentum after we've been on a break in December. Our trade setups are looking great. The analysis is spot on, as you will see when we start with the market analysis. We're going to get started in a bit. Let's start with the contact details. You can check out our contact details on our channel. Our channel is Trading Waves. So go to the Trading Waves channel, and under the description of all our videos, this is our channel, Trading Waves. Right, so under the description of any of our videos, you'll find our contact details. So just go down to the description, you'll find the contact details there. So that is what we have there. So you'll have our social media pages, that is Twitter and Facebook. You can follow us there, as well as our link to the link to our website. You'll find it there. Now, for those that don't necessarily want to watch the whole video, you can just go onto our timestamps. We upload this a couple of hours after we upload the videos. You can check out the timestamps. That means you can go to the exact page that you want to look at. So that makes it a lot easier. Now let's get right into it. We'll start with market recap of what we looked at in the last week, and then how the market played out. Then we'll look at how we're expecting the market to play out in the coming week. So let's get started with the recaps. You'll see I'll be referring to the website as well as Slack as well for some pairs. So let's start with the recap here on Slack with the trades that we have been looking at in the week. Okay, I want to start it right at the top. Some of this you'll also see as we do market analysis. So what I want you to notice is that what we are looking at here, as far as the recaps are concerned, you will also see that this is exactly how we analyzed the market in the last week, and you can check out that video as well. I think it will really help to refer to that video, look at how the market has played out now. That will give a very good indication of what we expect the market to play out as in the next week. So let's start here. So we're looking at New Zealand. We've been looking at New Zealand, Audi New Zealand for some time now. Let me just give you a perspective here. So if you remember, I also discussed this one here. We had a setup here like this. So our forecast for New Zealand was simply 3 waves. Then we expected that this was going to push to the upside. But these 3 waves was not just a straight line, as I've indicated last week. These 3 waves played out with a running flat. It still made the 3 waves as follows. That's 1, that's 2, that's 3, and it is now pushing to the upside. Now, what you will see here is with the wave 2, we focused that this is our wave 2. We're still going to get a push to the upside, and this is how the market plays out after that. Now, have a look at how the market plays out from that wave 2. So let's have a look here. So from that wave 2, this is how the market plays out. So that was our wave 2 here, which we changed the color here into this, my apologies there. So this is the wave 2. Notice that this was the wave 2 in white. So we've got that wave 2, wanted it to push from here, and we've already made a couple of pips to the upside. So what you see here is the new forecast. We're still focusing that we're going to see more upside. So you can see from about 1.04, we've already pushed up to about 600, 700. That's over 550 pips on Audi New Zealand. That is the forecast that we did there. Now let's have a look at the rest here. Some clear ones that we've also discussed in the last week. That was Pound Audi. Pound Audi, we specifically indicated that these, if you look at the last week's analysis, I actually don't want to look at the image. I want you to look at a link because it's a lot clearer. So this was consolidating here last week. So Pound Audi for the past 2 weeks has been consolidating here, and we've been anticipating this to push to the upside. So we have got a bit of a push to the upside, and we have reached this level that we wanted here on Pound Audi. Let's just have a look at how this plays out. Stay tuned for Euro and gold. Those were golden setups. You'll see when we get to them. Euro, basically all our US dollar pairs, the gold as well as silver and platinum. You'll see how golden those trade setups were. Textbook setups really. So this is Pound Audi. So this was the chart after, as you can see here. This is how it played out. So that was the chart before. This is how it played out after. So you see here. So we consolidated here for about 2 weeks. Then we've pushed to the upside from 95.50 to about 91. That's about 200 pips already to the upside on Pound Audi. Pound New Zealand, we were looking at it to go to 205. Let's have a look at this one here. Pound New Zealand. We were bullish both Pound New Zealand and Pound Audi. With Pound New Zealand, we also consolidated at the same time here as when Pound Audi was consolidating. We're looking for this to push to the upside. Look at this. This was the target here at 204. I did look at the weekly chart last week and indicated that we still have about 200 pips to go to the upside on Pound New Zealand. Look at how it played out. This was just last week, 200 pips in just the last week alone. This is the chart after. So that was the forecast. If you go look at the video, you'll see that we've been focusing this to consolidate here and push to the upside. And this is how it plays out around 204 as forecasted. Now, this is the new forecast. We're still expecting this to push to the upside. So just because there's an error there doesn't mean that you go and take a trade. You need to understand the strategy, the entry strategy. Okay. So that was Pound New Zealand. Let's have a look at the rest here. Pound New Zealand. Now, look at how interesting this is, and you will also see what the analysis was in the last week. I'll try to refer to the video last week as well. So have a look at this one here. EUROAUD, and check the date. This was the 10th of January, only the second week of January. What were we looking for with the euro? We're looking for this one to push to the upside and drop. Okay, so what has happened eventually after that? So let's go have a look here and how this has played out. This was euro, and we forecasted this during this weekly outlooks. If you've watched this, you would have seen how we forecasted this. Look at that textbook stuff, like magic. As forecasted, we wanted this to go to push to the upside and come down. This was the chart before. That was the forecast. This is how it plays out. So look at that here. So about 60, 70 pips to the upside is forecasted. Where are we now? Around 114, almost a 200 pip drop, 300 pip drop from around 114 where we were. So that is how we forecast the market. And this is how accurate this is when you're looking at, when you're using wave analysis. That was euro, and all the US dollar pairs have indicated these were just magic. Look at this here. Also, this was the 20th of Jan. Remember, we focused that this was going to push to the upside and drop from here, but we updated this analysis when we were getting the pullback here. An inch perfect blue box trade setup where we indicated that this is where we're going to be selling for this to drop. How has the market played out? Let's have a look at how the market plays out. I'm showing you this so you can get the perspective when we focus for the next week. Okay, so let's have a look here. So this is Audi US dollar. Right into the blue box like magic. It drops, gives another opportunity, drops again here. So from 72.80 to where we are now at about 70, that's easy 300 pips in just one pair in just a single week. Right, so that was a very good one there. So let's have a look here. New Zealand, it will be exactly the same. New Zealand and Audi, we know that those are correlated. So we're looking for this one to come into here, into this wave two. So that was the cycle, that was the sequence. So we expected that to pull back and for this to drop. Okay, so let's have a look at how that plays out as well. This is New Zealand. It will do exactly the same thing. Look at that. So this was that. We looked for this one to complete the wave two. How did we know that it must go a move here? This is attention to detail as far as analysis is concerned. This is not wishy-washy kind of analysis. We're actually looking at exact areas for entries. So that's where we are. This is where we have what we have. So from 68.50, so rather 68.05 to where we are now at 64, that's about 150 pips drop, just a single week in just a single pair. Right. So the US dollar pairs have all been interesting. You'll see with US dollar CAD, we had an inch perfect blue box trade setup. Now, what you're seeing here is this setup here on US dollar CAD. Let me refer you to the website here so you can see where these come from. What you're seeing here is an 1 hour setup. The 4 hour picked this up from here. So you'll see here from our website here what members get before the moves. Let's have a look at the US dollar CAD on the 4 hours so you can get the perspective of how we look at this. Let's have a look. Now, this is US dollar CAD. What you're seeing here is a 1 hour setup for the London session that is already played out. The 4 hour is where we picked up this blue box. The second one that you're seeing is what I'm showing you now. So this one was from the 13th or the 23rd of January. So this was the 23rd already, where we're picking up this blue box setup on US dollar CAD, expecting this to push to the upside. So that's what we have there. So what you're looking at here is this one here. Let's just go back here. Let's go back to this here. So that is US dollar CAD. So that was the chart before. Now, as I've indicated, that was the 4-hour setup. We knew that I was going to push to the upside. So even when this was pulling back here, we knew that this must still continue to the upside because that's where the sequence is going. And how that plays out, how does that play out? This is how it plays out. Have a look at that. Look at this. Inch perfect, blue box trade setup, 4-hour, blue box trade setup. We pushed to the upside. This is 2700 now. We picked it up from 2440, about 300 pips, easy pips on this on just a single week. That is US dollar CAD. Let's have a look at the rest. So the US dollar pairs have been inch perfect, straightforward in this week. The DXY is obviously the inverse of what the euro was doing. We indicated that this was going to push to the upside in the last week. So let's have a look at this one. How does this one play out? So let's have a look at the DXY. There's the chart before. How did we know that exactly here we are going to get this big move to the upside? That's exactly how we forecasted the euro, because we could see that the DXY had completed its corrective structure here and needed to go to the upside. Okay, so that's the DXY. Okay, it gets even more interesting with the US dollar yen. Let's have a look here. US dollar yen, we expected this one to push to the upside from here. How does that play out? I'm going to run through this quickly because I want to get to gold, because that was a golden setup looking very good. So US dollar yen as forecasted a move to the upside. All these moves inch perfect, cycles and sequences spot on. Right, so that was US dollar yen. Let's have a look at New Zealand yen. Just to wrap this up, you see that all this, we also discussed this one before it played out last week. We've started the moves to the downside and we still expect these moves to continue in this week as well. So this is the chart after on New Zealand. So the chart before, look at the chart before, look at the chart after. So we dropped from here. We dropped from here. How many pips is that? This is 78.84. We are now on 75.35. So 300 easy pips in just about 2 weeks on New Zealand. All right, so that is New Zealand. Let's have a look at the rest here. Audi yen will be exactly the same as New Zealand. Let's have a look at that. This plays out. Right. Audi exactly the same as the New Zealand. Look at this. I showed this last week as well. When this was still in play, we've updated this that we're still going to see more downside. So this was at 83.48 on Audi New Zealand. How does that play out? Let's look at the chart after. So this is the perspective that you need to look at when we focus the market in the coming weeks. So this is where we were, 83.40, and we are now down at 80.49. That's a simple 300 pip drop in just a single week, in just one pair. Right, so that's Audi. Now I want you to look at gold. So this is the one that I've been looking forward to in this week. So what you see here is the chart before and the chart after. So this is what I want you to see, the perfection here. For this to push to the upside, that was the expectation in the last week, that we're going to see a bit of a push to the downside, but the sequence is telling us downside. We need to make a move to the downside like this on gold. So how does gold play out? Let's have a look at the chart after. This is what I wanted you to see. You see here, that's the small move that we wanted. How did we know that it needed to get to this level here? So this is not guesswork. This is when you understand your cycles. This is when you understand your sequences. Look at how this one has played out. We are already now down here as far as gold is concerned. We're expecting a pullback and more for this to play out. That's how we're following the sequence. Now look at the rest of the commodities. If you look at the rest of the commodities, silver, rather, this is gold. This is gold as well. This was gold before the drop. So we forecasted this move to the upside first, for this to come here and for this to drop. Let's have a look at this. This is still gold. Apologies. So just have a look at this one here. So the push to the upside and then downside. So that is where we were with gold. That's that blue box. We knew that it needed to get here. We knew that we needed to drop. So those are 4 charts here. Let's just go through them again so you can get the sequence. So this was the long-term forecast here. So for this to push to the upside and downside from here to here, this is where we get this setup. See here, from the blue box, we knew that it was gonna make a move to 1856 and the drop. So let's go through that. Chart before on gold, we needed to get to the upside. We do indeed make a push to the upside. We are dropping, and into the details of the 1 hour chart, we wanted to get this one to push up and then drop. This is how you see gold. This is textbook stuff on gold. This is when theory is working exactly as you expect to in practice. All right, so this is gold, and that's why I was saying we've picked up the momentum. The indicator has been amazing that we use to identify and to pinpoint these entry points. All right, so that's what I want you to see on gold, and you'll see a Brent crude oil as well. Brent crude oil, we wanted to see this one continue to the upside. This was straightforward. We could see that was going to continue to the upside. So Brent crude oil continues to push to the upside as expected. I'm not going to go into the details of this. Everyone can see that Brent crude oil, you're not selling Brent crude oil. This is just going to continue pushing to the upside. Right, let's have a look. What else do we have here? So those are all the setups I had for you this week, but you'll see platinum. I'll show you platinum and silver and how that played out in when we start with the market analysis just now. All right, so let's get started. Great, so we start with the market analysis. Let's have a look here. So there's nothing new here. The DXY, we've already looked at that. You've seen how we expected the DXY. I'm going to switch off here. How we're expecting the DXY to continue pushing to the upside. So this was the setup here. We're looking for this one to continue pushing to the upside. We are still bullish, the DXY. Maybe consolidation here in the lower degrees for a move to the upside. Let's go and have a look at this. On the 4-hour, we're still expecting this to continue higher, so we may get a bit of a consolidation here in the 1 or the 4-hour, in the 1 hour or the 4-hour. So that is what you're going to look forward to, or you're going to look out for here, a bit of a continuation move to the upside here in the 4-hour chart. The euro is the same. Let's have a look here, the euro. So as you've seen, the euro, we focused on the move to the downside. We are still bearish. We're expecting this. You're going to have a bit of a pullback here in the 1 hour or the 4-hour that will push to the downside. But you must be careful with this one, because after this you can get this drop and get a deeper one that will still continue to the downside. So but essentially we are still bearish. Pound US dollar. Pound US dollar is going to continue pushing to the downside. Let's have a look here. We were looking for this one to complete this structure and give us one more up. It doesn't look like that's going to happen. The US dollar is still showing strength. We're expecting this 1, 2, 3 and expecting a move to the upside to complete this bigger corrective structure. But as you can see, that bigger corrective structure has already completed here. So that is why we're going to look for pound to drop together with the rest of all the pairs that are paired against the US dollar. So we are currently here. We're going to expect this one to continue pushing to the downside. We want to see what structure is going to start playing out here. We could have an expanding leading diagonal here for a move to the downside, but what you look out for here first is just a pullback in the 4-hour for this to come down to this level. You may get another corrective structure here like that, where you have something like this on pound before getting this move to the downside. So for now, just look for continuation to the downside. Not a clear setup here at this stage on pound US dollar. US dollar CAD, you've already seen how we focused on the move to the upside here in the week. We're expecting this one to continue pushing to the upside here. We could get to around this level. So the US dollar is looking strong. We should see US dollar CAD continue to push to the upside in the coming week. Okay, so that's what we have here on the US dollar. So this should still continue to push to the upside. Okay, so we're going to expect more upside here on US dollar CAD. US dollar CHF, we should have looked at a trade setup on this one. I think we've got this one here on our website. Let's have a look at US dollar CHF, just so you can get a perspective of how we're looking at this. So US dollar CHF, let's have a look at it. Right, so that's US dollar CHF. This is the London chart from Friday morning, just an hour before the start of the London session. But the setup has always been this on US dollar CHF. So we're pushing to the upside. So this was the latest update on the 4-hour on the 27th of January. But just to give you a perspective on what we've been looking at here. So what we have been looking at, it was for this to drop. Remember, towards the end of December and beginning of January, we expected this to just continue dropping here from in a straight line so that we can make this structure. But that structure is not playing out exactly like that. It's not changing the sequence. What is happening here is that we are making this move. We can get to this level. we will still get to the downside. We will still get that three-wave structure to play out. It's just a slightly different corrective structure here in the middle. So we are pushing up higher first, then we're going to drop, and then we're going to get this move to complete the structure. So the sequence does not change. So if you understand what we're looking at here, you'll see why we're expecting that this should continue to push to the upside up to just this level. Then we'll expect this one to then drop to make this bigger corrective structure as follows. Okay, so that is US dollar chief, as clear as the sky. Let's have a look at the rest of the pairs. Those are the US dollar pairs. I think I've covered all the US dollar pairs. We can just look at US dollar ZAR. We know that US dollar ZAR tracks US dollar CAD. So it is no surprise to see that we've got this structure on US dollar ZAR where we've got this as a three-wave move, expecting this one to continue to push to the upside. Now, I'm not going to go through AUD US dollar. You've seen that during trade setups, we're still just expecting days to be bearish. Pullback and continuation to the downside. Just have a look at the trade recaps. And while we're looking at this, you'll see those charts there. We're just expecting these to be bearish. Okay, a bit of a pullback, maybe a 4-hour setup, but still expecting them to continue lower. Right, let's go to the yen pairs now. Right, so the yen pairs, I'm on the 4-hour chart. We spoke about these trades, these moves to the upside failing. So US dollar, or rather pound yen, right? Pound yen. Let's have a look at pound yen. Pound yen, just like pound US dollar. If you look at this structure here, it could either be complete or could still go to the upside. But which one is it? So what we expected was for these to play out here as an expanding flat, go make one more up, and then drop. But we can see that we're not going to get one more up. There's strong divergence here. As much as it's making highs, those highs are not sustained. They're not sustainable. There's not enough volume. There's strong divergence on the RSI as well. So we're expecting that these will start dropping. This will start to drop. Now we're getting an indication of a drop here. So we're looking for this one to at least come down to around those levels. So let's go down to the lower time frame, see what we expect there on pound yen. So pound yen, this looks like a pullback here, and we're expecting these to then drop. Now this is your setup for the week. So what we expect is do not rush this, and I'll tell you why. You see this one here, it looks incomplete to me. We expect this to do this, but there's a very likelihood that you can get a clear structure like this. We get that downside and then a drop. Now, this is a decent corrective structure. This is a decent one for a trade setup. So I'll look for that one rather than just to sell here. I would not even touch that one as it is. US dollar yen. Okay, US dollar yen, has this one now completed its three-wave pullback? Do we get a move to the downside? You have seen that we had a move here. We had a move here in during the trade setups. Let's have a look here. Trade recaps. Let's just go try and look at for US dollar yen. See if I can get it quickly. US dollar yen. Let's have a look here at what we focused it, just to give you a forecast here. So this was the forecast here, as you can see, that this will make a push to around this level. Now, whether this goes up in a straight line or we get a move down first is what we need to decide. So what have we got here so far? We've got this, and it looks like we're going to have this move down first before we push to the upside. So let's have a look here at the live chart. Okay, so this is what we have here on US dollar yen. So we may get this one making a structure like this. So this will be a move, this will be a move. So then we get a move down here before we push to the upside. We'll be tracking this in the week. Let's see how that plays out. Euro yen. Okay, so euro yen, just like a pound yen, those bigger corrective structures. Let me show those in the daily structure so you can see what we're looking for. So as we said last week, that these structures, this has failed, this move. We expected that move. So we had this move coming down here. We expected that this is going to give us one leg up higher. We didn't get that one leg up higher, but instead this is failing around here. So we don't expect this to have played out as a corrective structure. This is the orthodox top for this move. So we're expecting this one to start dropping. Whether this makes a corrective structure here as follows before the drop is also a possibility, but for now we're going to expect short-term downside to at least around this level. Okay, so that is euro yen. We know that the chief also tracks the euro, so we're expecting that this move. So the chief on the daily is clear because we've got this structure. We're expecting this now to start dropping from current levels. Now you'll also see that there's very strong divergence here. So we're expecting this now to start the drop. Very strong divergence here. We'll be expecting this one to start making a move to the downside. The move to the downside has not really been confirmed. We'll watch the lower time frames for indications in the coming week. Right, so let's have a look here. So that's what we have. We may even get a structure like this. We may get a pullback here and a move to the downside on chief, but we are essentially bearish on chief. Right, similarly, AUD yen, that's why we've been selling. You saw the trade recaps. That's why we sold from here and expecting this one to drop. Okay, so let's have a look here. It's clear to see this on the daily, so you can understand why we have been bearish and why we've been selling. So we expected, just like the rest, that we also wanted one more up. That did not play out, and when it didn't play out and we got a setup here, that's why we sold it to the downside, expecting this to at least get around 76 level on AUD yen. New Zealand, you've seen this trade during trade recaps. It's also the same scenario. All you're going to be waiting for here is 1 hour or 4 hour setups for a continuation to the downside. But we are no longer looking at this as an expanding flat. Okay, so those setups have failed in other pairs, so we don't expect them to play out on the New Zealand either. Okay, so let's have a look here on CAD yen. CAD yen also looking bearish. We're going to be expecting this to drop. These corrective structures are too small for you to get a trade here, so wait for them to mature. As to which strategy you use, it depends on the strategy that you use. With the strategy that we use, we wait for confirmation, and as it is now, this does not look like it's going to drop. We're going to expect this one to possibly make another move back here before we get the drop. That is CAD yen. Gold, nothing more to talk about on gold. You've seen this one during trade recaps. You can just refer to trade recaps as to how gold has played out. We expected this move. So this is what we looked at gold, a move back up here and the downside. So we have already played out this move here, 1, 2, 3 upside. Now we're looking for any 4 hour setups or 1 hour setups for continuation to the downside. That is gold. Silver, have you seen, I can't remember if I've shown you silver as well. Yes, we have shown silver that we wanted this one to push from here and the drop. Let me just show you here again on the website. I can't remember if I've shown you silver, but let's do it here. So let's have a look at silver as well, so you can see what the forecast was here on the commodities. Silver. Let's open silver. Right, silver, this is I want you to see the 4 hour here. So the 4 hour pinpointed silver, that silver was going to drop right there. That's where silver has started the drop. So that is the structure on silver. Okay, so we're still dropping. We're still in this area as far as the daily is concerned. That's why we expected that one to drop, as you can see there. So that's why it's not surprising. It was not surprising to see this one dropping from the blue box. Right, let's continue with the rest. Let's go to the live chat. So that was silver. Platinum. Again, platinum, very interesting. Also, we expected platinum to go push and give us a 3-wave structure and the drop. It's not really played out as yet, but it is doing what we're expecting it to do, that it was going to reverse from the blue box and come down. Let's have a look at platinum on the website. So the commodities have been inch perfect this week, really. So let's have a look here at platinum. So this is platinum. As you can see, we forecasted that this was going to reverse from the blue box. This is the 1 hour setup. Let's have a look at the 4 hour here. So look at the 4 hour. We expected that the 4 hour, we're going to start dropping here. So right here in the blue box, we're starting the move to the downside. Has not really played out completely, but its indications are that we're starting to drop here. Any pullback here, we'll expect this to continue lower. Right, so those are the commodities. Let's go now on to, let's look at Brent crude oil. Brent crude oil is nothing but a bullish move to the upside. But before we reach all-time highs here again, we're going to have, you can see here, there's very clear indications of divergence. I've shown this is looking like a 5-wave structure. We're going to have here another, it looks like, okay, let's have a look at this here. This does not look like a wave 4 for this wave 2. What do I mean by that? This is too small for the wave 2. The degrees are not correlated, so I'm expecting to get a wave 4 that is similar in size with this wave 4 here. So we could get a deeper corrective structure as far as oil is concerned at current levels. So only then can you get a trade set up for a new move to the upside on Brent crude oil. Right, pound Audi, I've shown this during trade recaps. We're expecting this to be bullish to continue pushing to the upside. Nothing new there. We still expect pound Audi to continue up higher. Okay, you've seen why we're expecting that. You can also refer to the analysis last week. We expected this to continue pushing to the upside. All right, pound New Zealand, the same, bullish. Last week we focused it. We were here consolidating here, expected this one to continue pushing to the upside, and we said 204. You've seen this during trade recaps. Nothing has changed. We are still bullish. Pound CAD on the other side, we're looking for this one to consolidate here and continue to the downside. That move did not play out as we expected it to. So this could still be the move here. Let's watch what happens with this one here. We're looking for this to drop here, but you can see the correction was not matured as yet. Let's see if it's going to mature in this week. We'll be tracking that for a trade setup. Pound Chief has also pulled back with this move. So we've got the drop here. This looks like a pullback to me. I'm expecting this to continue pushing lower. That is pound. Those are the pound pairs. Let's go to the euro pairs. Right now, looking at the euro Audi. Euro Audi has made this move here. This is 3 up, 3 down, 3 up. Are we going to get the drop? Looking at what pound Audi is doing, we still expect this one to push slightly higher, at least to around those levels, even if that's going to play out. But let's watch this one push a little bit higher. So this does not look like it's going to play out just yet. No confirmation of a reversal on euro Audi. And that is supported by the fact that euro New Zealand is also still very bullish. So we expect this one to continue pushing to the upside. So we've got that corrective structure, we've got that move to the upside. So we are still bullish on all these pairs. So these are easy for the coming week. Every time you get a continuation pattern, that is still continuation to the upside. But your risk to reward ratio is compromised if you're only getting a setup here. You must have got it at around these levels where we were consolidating for the last 2 weeks. That's nice for our setup for a move to the upside. EURCAD. So EURCAD as well, we expected this one to just drop and continue lower. But what we're getting here is a move up here, a 3-wave back. We expect this one to push a little bit higher, same as US dollar CAD. So those corrective structure are not matured yet. But let's expect this one to come back around these levels. Only then will we expect a move to the downside. EUROCHIF. Right, so EUROCHIF, do we have enough momentum for this to push to the upside? Doesn't look like it. This may just continue to push down here with the corrective structure. We may even get around this level and a structure like this can ensue. Okay, let's just track that. Not clear at this stage. We don't do anything on that one. Audi New Zealand, you've seen during trade recap what we're expecting. We got that move from around this level with a blue box. We are here now. We're still expecting this to push to the upside. We are still bullish. So if you get a setup and if you've got an entry strategy, you can get a setup there. Audi CAD, nothing has changed from the last week. This has just been straightforward analysis. From the last week, we've been looking for this to push to the downside. We looked at this one to be a running flat and for this to continue lower last week. What has changed? Nothing at all. We're still expecting this to be bearish to continue lower. The Audi was weak last week and we've indicated that. Nothing has changed in this week as well. We're still expecting this one to do that. Okay. Continuation to the downside. We still have weakness in the Audis and the New Zealand. As you can see here, last week we were around this level. Still expecting this to continue lower. The week before we were here. This was the setup from the last week. So you just go track all the videos that we'll be doing on the timestamps. Just click on the analysis on the CAD, on the New Zealand CAD, or rather on all the crosses. You'll see that we've just been bearish here. Nothing new. There's nothing that we're saying other than to say these are bearish. Every time you get a setup for downside, every time you get something like this, you just sell. Now this one was a nice 3-wave pullback here, confirming that these are bearish. New Zealand Chief lower, going lower as well. CAD Chief. Right, CAD Chief also looking, showing some weakness there. We'll be looking for this one, 1, 2, 3 up, 1, 2, 3 up. We expect that this will get we get another 1, 2, 3 down here. So we can get this corrective structure here that will give us a WXY corrective structure. So bearish on this one here for the time being. Now let's go to the indices. Now with the indices, what are we seeing? Last week I showed you why we're expecting the indices to now start giving us a deeper correction or a reversal at current levels. I showed you the chart on Dow Jones Industrial. What I showed you was a relative strength between the two pairs, not relative strength index. Now this is relative strength. If you look at Dow Jones Industrial and compare it, let's compare it to Dow Jones transportation, so the Dow Jones Industrial Average, and you compare it to the Dow Jones Transportation, this is what you will see. Okay, so what you see here is that with the transportation, this is the industrial, this is the transportation. The orange is the transportation. Let's have a look at the two indexes. This is what I've indicated last week, that between this period, the transportation went and made a new high. No, not okay. Between this period, the industrial also went and made a new high. No problem. Okay, no problem up to that point. But from around this area, the transportation makes a low. The transportation makes a low. So you will see that from here, the transportation makes a low. What happens with the industrial average? It makes a high. It continues with a high. That high, it makes another high. But that was not confirmed by the transportation average. So that's why you could see that at that level, you are now going to get a reversal. Why would we trust this so much? Because it has happened before. Now, if you look at that, whenever there's a reversal, the relative strength between the two averages will give you an indication. Because according to the Dow theory, the index or the commodity or the instrument will continue to make higher highs as long as they both confirm the higher highs. But in this case, they don't. So whenever there's a relative strength divergence, you find that that is an indicator of a possible reversal. This has happened also in 2020, beginning of 2020. Look at the industrial average and look at the industrial, rather at the transportation average. And what happened after that? Because of that, that's why you get the drop. Now we're expecting that as well. A deeper corrective structure. It does not have to be a big drop, but whatever is happening here with the Dow Jones Industrial is giving us a continuation pattern for downside. I'm going to take this off here now and we'll look at the rest of the indices. Now, as far as the industrial average is concerned, we're expecting this to give us a consolidation here, maybe a three-wave pullback here, but a continuation to the downside. Now we'll expect the same thing. These are correlated. The S&P 500, you can see it had a similar structure as the industrial average. Here we had a relative strength index divergence. Okay, the momentum indicator divergence, just to indicate that we're going to have a reversal. So we've got this, a three-wave pullback here, should see us continue lower again as well. So the NASDAQ as well, you'll expect that it continues lower. This is already invalidated. There was a possibility for this to give us one more up before we get that downside, but the move to the downside is already invalidated that kind of structure. So here we expect the NASDAQ to also continue lower, at least to around those levels. So still bearish here on the indices. Let's have a look at UK 100. UK 100 looks like it's going to give us another leg to the upside. Now, to look at the UK 100, we have to look at it as follows. It looks like it's giving us a 5-wave structure here, and this one is ending up with a ending diagonal as follows: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, we could get this one giving us the last leg here before we get a deeper pullback as follows. So why am I saying 5 waves? This looks like 5 waves here with the wave 4 here and the wave 5 being the ending diagonal here, giving us 1, 2, 3, 4, and then a 5 with an ending diagonal. So we may still get one leg up higher before we get the drop. So we're tracking the UK 100 accordingly. Okay, so let's have a look at how this plays out. Right, the DAX. Same as the DAX, we are getting this one to show, it's starting to show us a reversal here. This momentum divergence there, as you can see, this is making a new high. It's actually no divergence here anymore. The divergence was here. Let's just show where that was. So you'll see here, as much as this was making higher highs, this was not showing us anything here. So we're expecting this one to at least give us a bit of a push to the downside here. This could be making a corrective structure here as follows, where this could push to the upside. Okay, so let's just track that one. So the UK 100 and the DAX may still have one leg up higher. Even if the DAX can just get back to around this level before the drop, we'll be tracking that in this week. Not clear at this stage. Now let's look at the Nikkei. The Nikkei has completed the structure that we wanted it to make. 1, 2, 3 here, 1, 2, 3 down here, 1, 2, 3 down here. Do we get a reversal on the Nifty? We'll see. We're gonna have a reaction here at least. If that's, it will depend on how this plays out. If it's coming up correctively and the indicator confirms the reversal, we'll then look for this one to play out this corrective structure here as follows. So that corrective structure will be a clear WX. Let's do it like this: a WXY structure like that for a reversal, but it doesn't look likely. But this is just looking with the naked eye. We want to wait for indications with the indicator to show us whether we're getting a reversal here and whether this structure is playing out as a regular flat. Okay, so that is the Nikkei. And lastly, the Nifty has also been dropping, and we did expect that this was going to reverse from last week rather, that this was going to be the structure. Could this be the structure, or could this be the overall reversal on the Nifty? The Nifty has been bullish for the longest time, and it's time for this to give us a deeper corrective structure. So that is what we have on the Nifty. We're going to have a pullback. Generally, on the indices, expect deeper corrective structures, and the indicators are showing us reversals on the indices. Thank you very much for watching. If you have enjoyed what we do, if you like what we do, give us a thumbs up by hitting that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you've not already done so, and also hit that bell notification button so that you get a notification next time we upload a video. We appreciate your input and your comments as well, so you can drop those for us under the comment section on the video. Have a great week, everybody. Trade responsibly. Cheers. Bye-bye.